Hello, everyone. I'm Ravneet Singh. I'm your host at PC Final Frontier. Welcome to another podcast with one of my greatest friends. But before we move on to him, happy Mother's Day, everyone. I hope that all of you are enjoying with your mothers. And thank you all the moms for inspiring always and for your compassion and for making us. All right. We have a very special guest in this podcast, and I don't think that person needs any special introduction, but I think it's my honor to introduce with everyone David Friedberg, who has been my friend for about half a decade now, and he's helped thousands of physiotherapists across the world. He has made such a huge impact in my life and other physiotherapists in across the world, as I said. He's a DPT, and he is serving the PT community as one of the board of directors in Fax PT. And he is one of the superstars of the podcast of npteff Final Frontier, who just crossed 250,000 downloads. David, welcome to the PC podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I mean, I can't believe that half a decade has already passed between the both of us having such a connection. I mean, for those that don't know the background, Ravneet was actually one of my close mentors and tutors when I was a student going through everything that everybody listening to is currently going through. So it is a huge honor and pleasure for me to be here talking to you today, to all of the thousands and thousands of students that are out there listening right now. So thank you.
Well, memories, right? I still remember the day when we used to study together and, those Maryland days. But long way, man. We're here talking about the success stories, talking about building confidence. And the topic that we're going to discuss in this podcast is very close to my heart. And I'm sure. How do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about, first of all, let's talk about how do you feel about a superstar?
A superstar is definitely, sometimes it's far in between what and who a superstar really is, but everybody has the makings to be a superstar. All you have to do is just to set your goals, get that determination, show that you have heart to yourself, and also just never stop till you get it. And then after that, you will become a superstar.
Absolutely. I agree with that. David, tell me something about yourself, because we're doing very candid podcasts and we don't plan a lot about it because we want the person to talk from their heart. When you started your podcast in the United States, what did you think about? Like, why did you have that plan to build a community over the audio podcasts? What was the thought behind it?
Yeah, so previously I've had experience hosting a podcast, and Dr. Singh and Derek came up with an idea of running with the Final Frontier podcast. And it was an important thing for us to launch because there was that audience out there that wanted to listen to something while you're driving, while you're working out, maybe before you're going to sleep, or some people want to listen to it as they are going to sleep. So we recognized that audience, just like as you have, and we decided to capitalize on that, create the podcast, and it's co-hosted with Emily, and it is incredible, and we have had so much success with it. Well, as you mentioned before, 250,000 downloads, which is huge. And we're going to continue to go till we get that 1 million download mark, which is going to happen at some point. So yeah, it really started because we saw the audience that was out there, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to get to those students, especially when they wanted to hear us.
Absolutely. I agree with that, because a lot of times when I was preparing for my exam, I felt like if I'm traveling, I should read something, because, there's always a guilt factor when you're preparing for the exam. You're too serious about it and you don't want to waste time while I'm doing household chores. I'm making breakfast for myself. I can't keep my books in my hands. So I think bringing that a podcast was a great deal for a lot of people who were thinking like me, because we come from same community. Like we want to we want to be productive as much as we can. And that podcast has helped so many people while they are driving, while they are going to the gym, while they are walking around, and they're just making sure that they're connected with the content. That guilt factor that you have taken is a lot of, I would say it's a great tool for your mental peace as well. I strongly believe that. So thank you very much, you and Emily and the whole team who has come up with a plan and thought about it. And like, think about it, 250,000 downloads. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely a huge achievement, and there's a huge team behind.
Yeah.
It's not just me and Emily hosting. Nick helped with getting it launched, and then we also have people behind the scenes creating questions and gathering content. Derek is doing editing and everything, and producing. So there is so much behind the scenes that students don't even recognize that go into it. And it's just so important that we get the best quality of content out to those students. And it's not just content and questions, but it's advice. It's advice about how to prepare for the examination, advice about how to prepare for your clinical rotations. So we're also expanding to not just the NPTE, or PCE, but we are expanding to outside, to the clinicians themselves, especially with now we're doing more and more interviews with clinicians, getting their advice towards students. And it's just been an amazing experience that I've been honored and grateful to be a small factor within it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely on it. And I'm waiting for the new things that you're going to bring. So David, I was going to call you Derek. My God.
Yeah.
I'm one of the culprits. I'm sorry about that.
For the record, this is being recorded. This is just for the record. This is being recorded. So everybody.
Oh, shoot. I thought I would never do that, but my God, it just, man, we have to change your names, man.
It happens.
All right, perfect. So, David, the topic of this podcast is how to build confidence for your PT license exam. I will go to that topic, but I want to understand a lot about the thought process behind what you do, okay? Because I've always been encouraging people, not just physios, but anyone who I meet and talk about the accomplishments and talk about their future aspirations, always talk about, like, you need to ask yourself, why are you doing this, what you're doing? For example, if you remember our conversation about 3 years ago, and we talk about how we both like public speaking, right? And we talked about, we used to give each other feedback about, hey, can you listen to my video? Can you listen to my audio? And we used to help each other about, oh, you need to work on your tonality. You need to work on your eye contact with the camera and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Now that you have done so much, right? You're an accomplished PT. You are an accomplished content maker. You are an accomplished a content team member, and you are taking a lot of leads in decision making in one of the biggest physiotherapy community in the United States. My question to you is, why come here and talk to me today? I know we are friends, but why come here today and talk about building confidence in PT? You can enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your Mother's Day, have fun with your family. Why come here and talk to me? I just want to know about that thought process. Let me tell you the reason why I'm asking this question, because there's a lot of people out there who wants to become a person who wants to make difference in the community, right? When I look at you, I see a constant effort in making what you had thought 3 years back. What is the motivation behind that when you're already an accomplished? So again, why come here and talk to us?
So I come here to talk to you because, well, you asked me and I would do anything to help you out. No, but I came here to talk to you today because it's so important for students and professionals in general to hear what we are about to speak about. Diving into motivation, what keeps you just going for more and more and more, and striving to just keep on pursuing your goals. Because, as you know, I've struggled with the examination just like many people out there. It took me multiple attempts. And you know what? It is something that I'm very proud of. I am very proud of it because it doesn't mean anything. It makes you stronger. It makes you stand up. It makes you fight. It makes you really recognize what you want to achieve, what you want to do. And it also makes you recognize what's inside of you, because without those times where you fall down, without those times when you are on the bottom, You do not know what you are really having inside of you until you have to be put in that corner and you need to fight for yourself and you need to stand up. So I continue to just keep on standing up because just like everybody else out there, every single goal isn't an easy goal. Every
Right.
single dream is not always easy to pursue. You need to always, no matter what, have that mentality, have that willpower, just keep on going forward. And if your seem like it's impossible to get to, then you have to figure out ways to just get to them. You have to set up goals to achieve that dream. And I
Right.
think that all of that's just so impactful. So that's why I'm here with you today. It's because I think that there's many people out there listening right now that maybe they haven't stood up yet, or maybe they don't know how to stand up, how to pursue more, whether they passed their examinations already or they're trying to get through that examination.
Right.
Maybe they just haven't recognized their greatness within. So that's why I'm here with you
Absolutely.
today.
That's great. I don't have words about it, man, because I've seen you growing so much. I've seen your leadership qualities and how you deal with people and all. That constant effort is always inspiring. A lot of people ask me like, oh, when do you take a break? I'm like, why do a person need a break? When they get tired, right? So now I feel when I was a kid and I used to listen to people, you do what you enjoy. Now I see why do you have to do what you enjoy? Because you don't get tired, because it's not a burden to you. You enjoy what you're doing. So I think there's a similarity between us. Like, we enjoy what we do. Like, we
Yeah.
enjoy teaching, we enjoy talking to people, we enjoy understanding their problems. We try to find the solutions to that. So I have always find the similarity between us, the thought behind what you're doing, and trying to make that impact on a bigger scale.
Yeah,
So thank you for being here.
it's a double-edged sword at times because as the both of us are, same thing with everyone on the teams, with PCE, with NPTE, with APC,
Right.
Career Final Frontier, everything, it's always a passion. And
Yeah.
that passion to help others, to work with students, to make a change out there in the
Right.
profession, that it's a passion. So just like what you mentioned, we're not working. It's a passion.
It's a
It's a
passion. That's right.
passion. But it's also important when you're caught with something that's a passion, it's also important to recognize when you do get tired because it's normal to get tired. I know
Right.
you mentioned how people will say, "Don't you get tired?" Or
Yeah.
how are you working all the time? Well, the truth is, it does get tiring. Of
Mhm.
course, it's going to get tiring, but it depends on your view of it with how you react to that aspect of being tired. For
That's
you,
true.
sometimes you told me you go for hikes.
Yeah.
You go out for hikes and you get outside.
Yeah.
For me, sometimes it's going to an event or something like that, getting outside, going for a walk outside.
Yeah.
So it's also one of those things where when it's a passion of yours, you do have to recognize those signs of saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job, but it's okay. Get to the bench." Just like look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He
Yeah.
didn't stay on the basketball court the entire game. He still
Yeah.
went to the bench. He had his water, his Gatorade. He put a towel on his head. He washed his face a little bit, and then he got back out there. Nobody stays out there the entire game because you have to recognize those moments. And when it's a passion, it's even more of a difficult recognition to take yourself to that bench.
That is true. I think where we're going is to talk about the balance, right? So let me ask you this. Like, imagine if I'm somebody who's going to start preparation, or if I'm into the process of preparing for my PT license exam, right? How would you deal with me if I tell you, David, can you help me? I want to be motivated with my studies. I know how important it is, but when I look around, I have my family, I have my work, I have my kids, I have to go out and work out or go to a hike. But can you guide me how to stay motivated all the time, even though when I go on my morning walks, when I come back home, I should not be feeling I should not procrastinate. Well, I'm tired. That's okay, but I should be motivated enough to go back to my books.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is when you do those sort of activities, when you return to the books, you start to feel that guilt inside
Yeah.
that you just went to go work out, but instead you should have been studying. You should have been reading the books. You should have been watching a lecture. But you made that conscious decision to go work out. You made that conscious decision to see your friend for dinner. But whatever that is, you do have to recognize that that guilt, that's only being put on by yourself. I myself had that guilt because I used to say that if I was going to the gym to work out, which is so important because we all need that stress relief, we need that outlet, but you can't put that guilt on you where if you go to the gym, that is taking you away from passing
Right.
or progressing in life.
Right.
So I started to think of it as working out was a part of my study routine because that gave me more fuel, that gave me more energy, that gave me more positivity because I felt better after, I felt good after, I felt clean and clear.
Right.
And after I did that sort of an activity, and it was one of those things where instead of being against my studying habits, it became a part of my studying habits. Same thing with hanging out with friends. Instead of it being totally against my study habits, I would say, you know what? It's rejuvenating me and I'm
Mhm.
earning that time with my friends. I'm not taking
Right.
that time or my children or family, whatever, whoever out there is listening, whatever the case is. Whenever it's one of those like break moments, you want to earn those break moments, but you can also put that into your study rituals as well.
That's a great suggestion. I think if I summarize everything what you said, is about the importance of your conscious decisions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a
Everybody,
conscious decision to meet your friend. You made a conscious decision to go to the gym, and you need to make a conscious decision to study as well and feel satisfactory at the end of the day.
yeah, it's all conscious decisions. Every student, every professional out there, it's all conscious decisions.
Right.
When you're
Right.
studying, you're making a conscious decision of doing the studying. When you're taking a break to go get food, you're doing that, you know?
Yeah.
So you make that conscious decision of sitting down in front of a computer, in front of your books, whether it's a library or Starbucks or anything like that, and
Right.
studying, just putting in that effort.
Yeah. That's true. David, I know that you have done like hundreds of one-on-one sessions with people of how to make a plan and how to stay motivated, how to build your confidence. So I just want to take a glimpse out of it. Like, imagine that I'm a first-time test taker, okay? Or let's talk about the first-time test taker. How would you help me to build a framework of studying or building confidence for my PT license exam?
Of course. I think the first thing to recognize is look at where you are. Look at how far you have come from where you started. There's so many people out there that don't recognize that progress. It's all a ladder. If you keep on climbing up that ladder, rung by rung, just climbing up, and just to get to the top of it, to get your dreams, and you don't take a moment to look down at that where you just came from, you're never going to feel accomplished. You're never going to feel like you achieved anything. So even if you get to the very top of that ladder, you're going to keep on looking up to say, you know what? There's more for me to get. There's more for me to do. I have to do it. But
Right.
you're not going to feel satisfied inside because you're not taking that moment to allow yourself to feel that satisfaction, which is very important. And for that first time test taker, I think it's so important to recognize that, hey, you are here for a reason. All the studying that you've done, everything that you went through, the classes, it got you to this examination. And they don't let every single person do this examination. You have
Right.
to present your coursework, you have to present your eligibility. So this way, they're giving you a thumbs up that, hey, go for it. And your professors, your schooling before that, guess what? They believed in you. If they didn't believe in you, you wouldn't have been accepted into that respected program. So
Right.
somebody out there believes in you. So something that I think is important for a newcomer that it's the first time sitting is recognizing all of that. And I think that it's important to have a strict, don't have to be rigid strict, but you have to have structure, accountability, and a schedule. So I always say that if your examinations in the morning, you should be waking up very early in the morning You should be getting ready to go at it. If your exam's at 8 a.m., then you got
Yeah.
to be starting, you got to start studying by like 7:30. If
Yeah.
you have work that starts at 8 a.m., guess what? You can still get like a half hour or an hour beforehand.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to also be realistic that things are going to come up. So I would say just for that first time person to create that structure, create that schedule, but you also don't want to be neglecting food. I hear from so many students that they should be studying
Yeah.
10 hours a day.
Happens all the time. Yeah.
Exactly, right? They want to skip lunch. No, no time for lunch or dinner. What time do they start for dinner? 8 p.m. sometimes, 9 p.m., right? If at all. And you're like, no, please get that food in there. You need that food. You need that time.
Yeah.
You need that workout. But I
I,
always,
I I'm
yeah,
sorry. I think
no,
what we forget is the science behind the studying.
mhm,
We are so much into studying, we forget about the energy resources, how to build a better productivity of the brain.
yeah,
But I'm sorry to stop you. I want you to break down a little bit more on a person who just started preparing for the exam. Because in my experience, maximum overwhelming feeling that happens during the first 2 weeks of starting preparation for the exam, right?
yeah,
They look at the schedule, they're like, oh, I'm already 90 days behind. I'm already 100 days behind. That feeling, I'm studying every day a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, but I keep forgetting things. So what's the point of keep moving forward when I'm forgetting things? So that feeling, the I get overwhelmed when I look at the timetable. I get overwhelmed when I look at the content. Oh, I joined 3 weeks late into the course. It's an online course. You have the recordings, but I still feel that I'm lagging behind. So,
yeah,
what do you want to say to the person who has recently joined the course and feeling overwhelmed right now?
yeah. So for any person that recently joins the course and anybody that will be opening up that time schedule to see that timetable, it can be intimidating. It could be very stress producing, anxiety producing when you open that up and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of information. That is a
Yeah,
lot of readings. I have a life too. How am I supposed to make it through all this?
right.
Instead of looking at everything, you really have to focus on one day at a time. And I never really like it when a student progresses too far in advance. Focus on the readings for that day. And even if you start a little bit after the cohort begins or your studies schedule begins, there's always time to catch up on things. Maybe you have to make more sacrifices later in the day or earlier in the morning.
Yeah,
Maybe you are going too into detail with timetable readings.
yeah,
If you get stuck, something that I always suggest is if you get stuck on the readings, make note of it. You don't have to dive into the detail right there and then, especially if you're catching up on material. Create a weakness list.
yeah,
Create a weakness list where you can list 5 to 10 topics and have it ever growing. So this way, if you're reading something, let's say arterial blood gases, but
mhm,
you don't have the time to dive into the why, how, what, then write it down on a piece of paper, but move forward. You can always go back to that piece of paper during downtime and be like, oh, maybe we're talking maybe 4 weeks down the line. You could be like, oh, arterial blood gases. I totally forgot that I was having trouble in that. Then you
right.
go back to arterial blood gases and you review it again. But at
Yeah,
least this way, you're progressing forward. You're not being too intimidated by that timetable, but it's going to be one day at a time. You have to take it one day at a time.
right. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think we've talked about it like so many times, but I think we need to keep talking about it again and again because I think it's a good reminder to to let each other know that it's a part of the process. That feeling, that panicky feeling, that overwhelmedness, it's part of the process. Because you might not have a habit to study for long hours, and now you look at the schedule which covers everything that you have done in your undergrad and you have to do it in about 3 to 4 months. It's definitely going to feel a little difficult initially, but once you build a timetable, just like David said, Like you build a timetable, build a consistency, start making weakness list. Once you're into the process, I think things will start falling into the place.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, David, for all these tips.
Yeah, of
Before
course.
we move on, whoever's listening to us, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. If you want to talk about something specific about your situation, and I can ask David to answer those questions. So feel free to do that. David, moving on. We talked about the first time test taker and somebody who has just started the preparation. How do you deal with someone, or how did you deal with your situation when you did not see pass on your screen for the first time?
Well,
You know,
yeah, it's a gut punch. You can never downplay that gut punch.
yeah,
It is a gut punch that nobody is ever ready for. It crushes you.
yeah, yeah,
But then you have to know that, hey, you made sacrifices. And if you didn't, then it's time to really make those sacrifices.
yeah,
And so something that I did was I spoke with Dr. Singh, I spoke with you, and I was just like, I had to make changes. I had to stand up. I have to recognize what I'm doing correct and what I'm
yeah,
not doing correct and how to adjust to that. So one of the ways to just go about that is I keep on saying, you have to believe in yourself, be confident in yourself, and be proud of yourself. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that, hey, you're going to get this dream. You are worthy of getting this dream. You are worthy of fighting for this. You are here for a reason. You have reason. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to be
yeah,
confident in yourself. You have to have that recognition that, hey, and that mentality that, hey, I'm going to pass this. I don't care. So, and this is what I did. I said, I will pass. I said, I am powerful. I am strong. I am a final frontier warrior. I will pass. And I said
exactly.
it over and over and over because I was reading a lot of motivational quotes and I came across a quote from a few quotes about warriors.
Mhm.
And I was just like, it just lit a fire inside because so I have a wrestling background throughout
Ah,
high school and college. And being on that wrestling mat, it really drilled into me so many life lessons about not giving up, not quitting, and
right.
just continue to fight and fight and fight and fight. And if you lose, guess what? You stand up and you fight and fight and fight. So you have to have that confidence that, hey, it may not be your day right now, but your day is coming. Your day is approaching. You are just preparing for that time, that moment. Whenever that moment in time is, we may not know. You cannot
Exactly.
anticipate it. You cannot predict it, but you have to be confident that that is coming. And you
Yeah.
have to be proud. You have to be proud of yourself. You have to be proud of what you're fighting for. You have to be proud in what you have accomplished. Just like how I mentioned before about that ladder climbing. You have to be proud of yourself. And you have to
I'm
recognize,
getting goosebumps right now. Sorry to
yeah, no,
interact.
and you have to recognize that there's people around you
Yeah,
that are proud of you. You
yeah,
have to recognize that, you know what? Be proud of yourself because there's so many patients out there that
exactly.
and clinicians and professionals and students that you're going to be helping, assisting, guiding, that, you know what? You have a lot to be proud of. So
Exactly.
you need to recognize, believe in yourself, be confident in yourself, and be proud of yourself in order to keep on progressing forward and to stand back up because it's not easy to stand back up.
Mhm.
So that's what kept me going forward.
Exactly. Also, David, what choice do you have? Right? Either
Yeah.
you want to become a PT or you want to quit. If you have a backup plan, probably this is not the right platform for you. And I strongly believe in that. I'm
Mhm.
not against keeping the backup plans for your future. What I'm saying is, if you're keeping a backup plan, you're already thinking about the second option. If this is a fight that you want to win, you need to get rid of your backup plans. Because if you kind of have to get to a situation, get to a point where you should feel like if not this, then probably nothing else. But I also understand that this brings a lot of pressure on you. But
Yeah.
we don't want you to create that pressure. If not this, then I'm not going to be anything in the life. One of my podcasts, probably next weekend, is going to be career opportunities, where we're going to talk about how physiotherapists have changed their field of work to become something else. They are PTs, but they're doing so much more than just becoming a PT. So I completely understand what you're saying, David, right now. Like, you gotta have to build an attitude where you get up every day because there's no other choice that you have, right? You made the decision to become a PT. Now, this exam is in your path. You need to cross this barrier. You have a great community. Final Frontier community is the one of the most positive community I've ever seen in my lives. Like, no matter what, even if you pass the exam, a lot of people are checking on you, how you're doing in your own life, what career opportunities you're looking at. Like, I've seen so many people becoming from PTs to specialists and building their own businesses and building their own clinics in North America. And that's just inspiring, And that would only happen if, because they didn't quit. They didn't have a backup plan and they didn't think about quitting it. Yes, they felt depressed. Yes, they felt sad. Yes, there was a lot of ups and downs, but eventually, yeah, they stick to the plan and they made a point.
And that's not to say that if you have a backup plan, that it can't be something else that you pursue at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I enjoy uh just talking to people. I don't know if you've recognized that yet about me talking, but
Listening
but
to you for the first time.
exactly. But like I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy being on stage. I
Yeah.
enjoy podcasting. I enjoy all of that. And because of physical therapy, I was able to also relate that into uh, physical therapy and everything like that. So just because you have a backup, it shouldn't be viewed as your backup. It could be viewed as your other plan, like an
Other plans.
additional thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to necessarily be your backup to that is like you're going to skip PT or PTA and then go to the backup.
Yeah.
But you can always just, whatever that backup is, you can always put it side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it whatever it may be, you can do them and coincide them and
Yeah.
combine, mesh the two of those together, especially if
Yeah.
the other backup option is something that you also find that you are passionate about. Maybe it's just being an author.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just writing poetry or art,
I
whatever
know I
that
know
may.
some of the physios who are great dancers and who have IG, Instagram followers about 90,000, and they are still practicing physiotherapy, and they are still making a lot of money from their following, their partnerships with dance clubs, and also from the physiotherapy. So I think,
Exactly.
it's a backup, but it's something that they also wanting to become a dancer. I've
Exactly.
seen a lot of physios featuring in the songs, dancing, lead dancers,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You can have maybe your backup is to be a dancer, but it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily have to be considered and viewed as your
either
backup.
or
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
happen.
have
Yeah,
to be either
yeah,
or. You
yeah,
don't have to choose physical therapy or dancing. You can
exactly.
you can combine them two together, but
Yeah,
before you combine them together, you do need that licensure. You do need a
yeah,
physical therapy aspect.
yeah,
And then you can combine the two of them together.
yeah. Because that may be your primary source of income, making money from your clinic and working 8 hours shift every day, and then
Yeah.
you can keep following your passion. Great tips. Yeah, I think we still have like about 10 minutes, David, but it's okay if we can finish it before. I want you to talk about some realistic approaches. When I say realistic approaches, like, I always listen to people, and I've said it myself, and I'll be very honest, to meditate, to work out, to go for a walk every day. Like, how realistic is, I know that probably 95% people does not meditate. And I
Mhm.
know that meditation can bring a lot of peace in your life, right? I want you to talk for next 5 minutes about the realistic approaches that people should adopt, how to build your confidence in general. Like, if you're feeling low, I'm taking the mock exam and I'm not getting good scores. I listen to the lecture, I attend the live lecture, but when I go back to those questions, it just doesn't work out. some of the complicated questions, you always get wrong answers. What is your strategy? What is your suggestion to somebody that you want a very realistic approach on building the confidence?
Realistic approach to building confidence. I mean, it's a great question with many different answers. I think that in order to go with that approach with building your confidence, you have to build your calm. And I think that being calm inside of you is going to help with
Right.
that confidence, help with that ability to focus on your studying and
Yeah.
pursuit.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, meditation is so valuable, so valuable. I used to start to do some meditation when I was preparing for the examination. Would I
Mhm.
benefit from meditation currently? Yeah. Do I do it? No. But I should do
Good.
it. I
Yeah.
should definitely do it. But it depends on where your focus is and also making time for it. You have
Right.
to make time for it, just like whether it's working out, going for a walk, going for a hike, whatever that is that you're doing, realistically, you have to make time for it because otherwise it's going to, no matter what you choose, it's going to be unrealistic. You can tell me that you're going to meditate every single day to build confidence, to build calm, to put your mind at ease, just to escape. Because at the end of the day, that's going to be the most valuable thing is
Right.
taking those moments to escape from
Yeah.
the examination. You're not necessarily,
Because,
uh-huh,
sorry, because you need that calmness during your exam as well.
yeah,
A lot of people forget that they have to sit in front of the computer for about 4 to 5 hours, right? So it's not because you want to study better. The calmness is overall a great tool whenever you are into a panic situation. And that's definitely going to happen during your exam, right?
oh yeah.
So I agree with that. Like, you need to find ways to bring calmness in yourself, because every time you look at a difficult question and you're panicking, that might not be very helpful during your exam.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
no, one of the so just like what you mentioned that when you're taking that examination, or even if you're in the clinic or in life, or maybe we're talking to someone right now who is going to be presenting at a conference,
Yeah.
and you get on the stage and you get hit with
Mhm.
that, oh my God, I'm looking outside at everybody, and this is so, oh, or I just made an error.
Yeah.
You have to know first, you have to recognize what's taking place. You
Yeah.
have to recognize that what just happened. You have to recognize that, hey, you're in a panic or and it's okay. But you
Yeah.
have to recognize it. And then you have
Yeah.
to full stop there. You
Yeah.
need to take a deep breath, full stop. Because if you don't full stop, you're going to be a lunatic train just running through. You need to take a full stop, recognize what just took place, and then find a way to get through it. So during the examination, if you hit a question where you're like, I don't know this answer, I don't recognize the information, I can't
Yeah.
even give you an estimated guess right now, I don't know, I'm in a panic, what do I do? You need to stop. You need to calm down. You need to escape. And the best way to do it is just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, just like what you do with your patients, right? If you're with your patients and they are having, maybe they're hyperventilating or they're scared, they're crying, maybe they're nervous, they don't know what to do. You tell them, hey, I'm here for you. Breathe in through the nose, out through your mouth, calm. And that's what you have to do. You have to calm yourself. And then you have to find that way to just willpower forward. So in the examination wise, you have to recognize, hey, this is just one question of many. It is one shot. For example, I relate a lot of things to sports. So it's just one shot, one basketball shot in a long game. There's many other shots that you're going to be taking. You're going to get
Right.
the ball very, very soon again. So you need to just take your shot. And you never know, just like with the basketball. I mean, unless you're Steph Curry, you're putting up that basketball and it may go in, it may not go in. You don't know. Maybe you just took an estimated guess with that shot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may feel inside that you just got that wrong, but maybe you got it correct. Maybe your guesswork actually got you to the correct answer. But you can't just stay hung up on that question because there's a next question upcoming where guess what? You need to regroup yourself, take a few deep breaths, and then get ready for that other shot. Because if not, you're going to be carrying that negativity over to the next question. and
So
the
true.
next one, and the next one. And you're just going to keep on missing your shot. So you have to recognize it right away, take a few deep breaths, and give it your best shot.
Absolutely. Moving on is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I have a question in the chat that I want to ask you, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you might have heard this question about more than 1,000 times. So just speak out your heart about this question, okay? How many hours a student should study in a day? How many questions they should practice a day? If they fail in answering correctly, how to boost their energies and proceeding further confidently?
Okay, we got the trifecta. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So obviously, every single person, for the majority, is going to give you a different answer.
Yeah.
There's never one straight answer to any of them.
Yeah.
If somebody asked you that, you may say a different amount of hours than what I say.
Exactly.
So for me, I suggest 4 to 6 hours a day. 4 to
Okay.
6 hours a day. But if you can go 6 to 8 hours, why stop? Go for it.
Exactly.
Go for it.
Exactly.
If
Yeah.
not to say that if you set your goals as 4 to 6 hours and then maybe you get the 6 hours, you shouldn't feel lousy about yourself. You reached your goal of 6 hours.
Yeah.
But if you still have it inside of you, maybe it's not late, maybe it's only 8 p.m. and you still got some fuel left in the tank. Yeah, go for it. Go for another hour or two.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
Sorry. I had a conversation with one of the students about a few years ago, and they said I talked to one of the mentors in a course, and they said if you don't study 12 hours a day, you're not going to pass the exam.
I would love to have a word with that mentor. No, no. Like
Yeah.
if anybody studies 12 hours a day, I'm like, no, that's not realistic. You are mentally going to be drained. You're going to have so much fatigue and no energy to do anything else. No, you like, and 12 hours a day that's a ton.
It is.
So
Wow.
I never suggest 12 hours a day to any student, no matter what you're preparing for, because I'll go back to sports. You didn't see Michael Jordan on a court for 12 hours a day. Was he out there
Yeah.
practicing for many hours? Yes. But it wasn't 12 hours a day, because what happens if you study 12 hours a day? If you practice on a basketball court 12 hours a day, are you going to have that same amount of energy, that muscle reactivity for the day after? No. If you're out there, if you're in the gym, let's say you're in the gym and you're pumping iron just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're just pumping iron, the next day your muscles are going to be sore. They're
Yeah.
going to be fatigued. You're going to be
That is
tired.
true.
So
But I think what everyone have to realize that if you're solving 10 questions every day versus the person who is solving 50 questions every day, first of all, where do you bring 50 questions every day? I wonder. But if you're doing that, that's not a guarantee to success.
there's never
What you're learning from that, you can learn from 10 questions. Just do your quality work. Only questions is not the solution. Only studying is not a solution. And you don't even have to start solving questions from day one, because there has to be some content in you in order to start implementing that.
something
Right?
something that success is never guaranteed. It's
Yeah.
earned. Success is never guaranteed. It's earned. So that success, that schedule that you may have, it doesn't guarantee you anything at all. Unfortunately, in life, there are never any guarantees,
Exactly.
especially with success. You have to earn that success. So you mentioned about the amount of questions that you should study every day. Everybody is different. Some are going to want to review 50 questions a day, some 10 questions, and that's enough. It really depends on what your objectives are. So something I used to do is every single day that I would study, I would make a list of topics that I wanted to do, just things I wanted to do. Re-listen to the live lecture, take notes on the live lecture, do the timetable reading, tutoring with Ravneet, whatever it was that was in my schedule, I would stick to it.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't overload that schedule because you have to be realistic that if you put 10 things on your daily schedule to achieve every day, if you don't get all 10 of them, you're going to feel
Yeah.
lousy. You are going to feel like you did not achieve your goals. You did not reach them.
Yeah.
So I set my bar really low. I set my bar to let's do 5 things first. Let's do
Yeah.
3 to 5 things, but let's do those 3 to 5 things really, really good.
Yeah.
And then, just like before with hours of studying, I could always add something to that next. It doesn't mean I hit the 5 things and then I stopped. I could always add things now, but at least now I mentally and physically, I feel on the inside that I achieved this. So
Right.
with the amount of questions that you should be doing, it really depends on the student as well. I always suggest to take 5 to 6 practice exams before you sit for any actual licensure
True.
examination.
True.
I think that practice is so important. So taking those practice questions are important and valuable.
Yeah.
But if it takes you a long time, 2 hours to get through 10 questions, maybe just stick to the 10 questions. You can't do 50 questions every single day if 50
No.
questions
No.
is taking you four
Yeah.
hours to get through. 50
Exactly.
questions a day is a lot, especially because
It's a
now you
lot.
have 50 questions to review every day, or at least
Exactly.
the day after. So no matter how many questions that you're taking, the thing that I am more firm with in my thought process is to take them at the same time every day as your actual examination. So if your examination's at 8 a.m., I want you to start those practice questions at 8 a.m. Maybe even a little bit ahead of 8 a.m. This way, at 8 a.m., your brain is already working. You're refreshed. You know how the questions look. You know how it feels to be taking practice questions at this time of day.
Right.
So I think that number of questions, it varies, depends on students, but taking the all of them is great. The more the merrier, but make sure that you structure your time so this way you're not just spending your entire day on practice questions because you're going to have weaknesses that you need to focus on. You cannot ignore your weaknesses.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and
but
what was the
also but also the final frontier courses are made in a way that you have weekly assignments, and
yeah,
then you start building your habit, and then you have a mini exam, you build a habit of 1 hour, and then you have a mock exam, you build your habit for 4 hours. So
yeah.
if you're following a plan, probably you might not even have to think about how much shall I do in a day, because you're given a timetable and you're expected to do this much.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons I love Final Frontier so much because I mean, as everybody knows, I am an alumni. I used it as a student.
Yeah.
I used the full life course to be transparent with everybody, but
Hmm.
I needed this. I tried to do it on my own. It did not work. The textbooks are huge. You don't know where to
Yeah.
start. You don't know how to structure yourself.
Right.
So having that timetable of this is what you need to do, this is how you should follow it, that helps out so much. And what was the third part of the question?
It was about, like, we already talked about how to boost your energy,
Oh,
proceed further
yes.
confidently,
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah,
boosting your energy. Just get out, recognize that your energy is low, and then address that. So go for a
exactly.
walk, take those breaks. The only way you're
Yeah,
gonna reboost that energy is to recognize that you need a break.
exactly.
Maybe it's just a 15-minute break to walk around your place or go outside. But whether it's 15-minute break or 30-minute break, you have to recognize those breaks because that's how you're
Yeah,
going to rejuvenate yourself. You're gonna get that energy. So
yeah,
recognize the breaks.
exactly. Like, take a very little example. Like, I've drank so much of water while talking to David, and it's only 45 minutes, right? But I'm recognizing that I need to drink water. I'm not hesitating to drink water in front of the camera right now, right? So I'm recognizing that I need to drink some water. Like, I have a good capacity of teaching for 5 hours, right? It's not that my throat is gonna give up on me, right? But I have to recognize, in order to have a better voice quality, in order to be more productive, I need to take a sip once in a while. So that's what David is talking about, recognizing that you're tired, and taking a break is very important for your brain.
Yeah, and something I want to add to that, that I just real quick, that something that when I was studying, that when I recognized that I needed to take those breaks and that it would be like if I was studying everything and I was getting to the
Yeah.
point where it's becoming too much that I I'm not going to remember this. I don't know this. I used to tell myself, especially right as it was ahead of the licensure examination, right before that examination, And maybe there is still content out there that I didn't know, which realistically, there always is going to be content out there that you do not know.
Exactly.
Same thing with all the professors. All the professors in general, not just in general, there's always information out there that you're not going to know, that you need to know more. That's science. I mean, if everybody knew everything, then we wouldn't really have science. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Simple.
exactly,
Yeah.
we are all pure scientists at heart, where we want to learn more, we want to grow more, we want to do more. So I used to tell myself another thing that, like, so I call it kind of a final frontier warrior mentality. So something else I told myself was, I have studied a lot. I may not know everything, but I know enough to pass. I will pass.
Yeah.
And what I was doing to myself was I was saying, David, you don't know everything, but it's okay. I'm accepting that I don't know everything, and that's okay. It's okay. I'm saying that it's okay, and that you know enough to pass this examination, though. You've been putting in that time, the sacrifices, the effort, and I will pass because I have that mentality that I will pass because I know at some point I am going to get it. I'm going to achieve it. So I think just having that mentality, that too helps you with that energy.
Awesome. David, thank you for answering all these questions. I just want to say that if you guys need more tips on mock exams, on improving the scores, you can go to our YouTube channel, and there are a lot of tips that we have recorded for you. But I think if I want to summarize everything, and I'm going to do it for everyone who are going to listen to this, the summary of this whole conversation is recognizing, manifesting, execution. Every day, recognizing, manifesting, execution. Keep repeating the cycle and you will pass the exam. David,
Yeah.
anything to add?
I'm gonna just a final thought. I mean, a quote from Muhammad Ali that I think is really important, especially with the aspect of confidence and believing in yourself, and that motivation to keep on going forward and getting more. So here's a quote from Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. I figured that if I said it enough, I would convince the world that I was really the greatest. So for everybody listening out there, it starts right up here. It starts right up here.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say fake it till you make it, but it starts up here. You have to believe and think and turn on that switch that, you know what? I want this. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to get this. And then those around you are going to start to buy into it. You yourself are going to buy into it over time. I know it's very tough to buy into that sort of a mentality, but you have to be open to that mentality. You have to be open to that mentality of, I am going to do this. I will get this. I am the greatest. And I knew that even before anybody else did. Before I was even the greatest, I knew I was. It's all up
Right
here. So don't be your own worst enemy. Go get your dreams, and never say never,
Yeah.
Don't quit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, thank
That
you so much for
was
having me.
a lot of fun talking to you, David. I appreciate all the help, all the support, all the positivity that you bring to the community. Thank you very much for joining in. We're going to stay here for about 20 more seconds. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. Enjoy the music. And I'm just going to have a little chat with David.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, you are powerful. You are strong. You are a final frontier warrior. You will pass. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Any special plans for the Mother's Day?
Yes, gonna go out to dinner and just make the most of the time, make it really special, just as everybody out there should be making it a special day for their mother. It's a lot of sacrifices, just as you've made sacrifices for this examination. Your parents have made just as many sacrifices, so recognize in your support system. So always appreciate those around you.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you being here, especially on the weekend and especially on the day when you were supposed to be with your family celebrating Mother's Day. And huge respect for you, David. And you know how much I'm a big fan. And thank you always for stepping up. And, it's just the kind of trust that I have in you that anytime I'm going to ask you something, you're going to do it. So I just took that opportunity, kind of took your advantage of being availability and, just
No,
talk about some important stuff.
thank you. I really do appreciate it. Just as we spoke about in the beginning, I really do thank you. And I appreciate your trust, your respect, and your mentorship as always, and advice. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right. For more content, go to pcfinalfrontier.com. For if you want to take US license exam, go to npteff.com. If you want to take the Australian exam, go to apcfinalfrontier.com. Or if you have anything physiotherapy related questions, go to our YouTube channels and just look at what David is pointing at. Just be positive and visualize it, manifest it that you're going to pass the exam and you're powerful, and we're always here for the support. Thank you everyone for joining in, and you all enjoy the weekend. We'll see you during the live classes and next weekend again with another episode of the podcast with career opportunities in physiotherapy. Thank you everyone. Have fun.